At 18, Brittany was already known for two things: her intelligence and her refusal to suffer fools. She didn't bark or boast, she simply dismissed people with a coolness that made them uneasy. It wasn't pride, it was armor. She needed to feel certain about everything, because beneath her sharp mind lived a constant tremor of insecurity. The one thing that reliably steadied her was the University of Texas Tower. As a freshman in 2010, she often stood outside it at night just to gaze at the orange and white lights flare across the Indiana limestone. It felt like a lighthouse meant only for her, a beacon warning her away from confusion, failure, and chaos, and toward clarity, success, and, most importantly, numbers she could count on. She needed that reassurance. Her classmates, with their breezy social confidence and political orthodoxy, irritated her. They called themselves liberal rebels, though she thought they acted like a congregation endlessly repeating the same sermon. They recoiled when she pointed that out. Still, she enjoyed Austin. At the South by Southwest Festival, she heard Smokey Robinson talk about the early days of Motown, listened to panels about the collapsing music industry, and even spotted Bill Murray at a bar. It was in October she saw the movie The Social Network and heard the name Winklevoss for the first time. 3 years later, as a senior, she came across Bitcoin and learned that the Winklevoss twins had invested heavily. That was enough to trigger her contrarian instincts. She borrowed $1,000 from her mother and bought Bitcoin at $15.44. She ended up with just over 63 coins and a fierce pride that she tried unsuccessfully to share with her friends and with her dorm roommate. All of them, except her roommate, mocked her. Bitcoin's for people who don't care about injustice, they sneered. They told her to focus on politics, not pretend money. She should work to get rid of Governor Rick Perry and to make sure Ted Cruz didn't get any further as a U.S. Senator. The contempt stung more than she admitted. Despite her doubts, she stuck to her guns and carried on. After she graduated, she secured a junior accounting job at an insurance firm downtown. On her first payday, she bought another 200 Bitcoin. It was reckless, it was thrilling, and strangely, it made her feel safer. 15 months later, when Bitcoin hit $617, she allowed herself to feel one moment of triumph. Then she paid her mother back with interest and told no one else what she owned. That was when she started attending Riverbend Church in Westlake Hills. She liked its tranquility and its community. It softened something in her. She was changing. In 2017, after a promotion to full accountant, she received a generous bonus. Tempted to buy more Bitcoin, she held back, until it crashed to $3,300. Then she bought 5 more, her pulse flickering with both fear and satisfaction. Her life was a tension between the two. After that, she tried to ignore Bitcoin. She wanted steady progress in her life rather than obsession. That was when she met Christopher after a 10:30 contemporary Sunday morning service. He was tall, calm, and unexpectedly warm. A lawyer with political ambitions, he was a registered Republican. He was reliable in a way she realized she had always longed for. Their relationship strengthened and grew more serious. Brittany finally admitted her secret. She owned 268 Bitcoin. Christopher burst out laughing. She bristled. "What's funny?" He squeezed her hand gently. "Nothing. It's just that I never tell anyone. They would think I was bonkers. I own 435. I bought them in 2010. Her jaw dropped. "How much did you pay?" He hesitated, then whispered wryly, 23 cents each. They married later that year in the same church where they met. For the first time in her life, Brittany felt truly serene and secure. Her career blossomed. She became the insurer's youngest ever chief financial analyst. Brittany learned that she enjoyed the pressure and the feeling of being needed, but she still told no one about the fortune growing quietly in her and her husband's possession. In 2021, Bitcoin soared past $60,000. A year later, it collapsed below $18,000. Brittany's stomach twisted. She spoke softly, with a hint of fear in her voice. "Maybe we should sell." Christopher shook his head. "Trust the long term, and trust yourself." By 2024, Bitcoin was back above $67,000. She no longer flinched at the madness of the charts. Her own life felt much steadier, her marriage, her work, her growing sense of certainty. Then, at the beginning of 2025, Bitcoin crossed $102,000. That was when 33-year-old Brittany discovered she was pregnant. It silenced her. The tower, the Bitcoin price chart, even her own cleverness, none of it mattered next to that single breathtaking truth. She and Christopher talked for weeks. They were certain Bitcoin would go higher, but they finally agreed that it was time to sell, time to diversify, time to build a foundation for their family that wasn't at the mercy of a mad market chart. The sale took days. When it was done, they were worth more than $70 million. Christopher said, "Now, that's what I call security." But Brittany shook her head. Something had shifted inside her, something she couldn't quite express. She quit her job when the baby was born, a beautiful boy with his father's calm eyes. She adjusted quickly to motherhood, surprising even herself. She expected to feel restless, but instead she felt anchored. One quiet night, while rocking the baby to sleep, she finally understood what had changed. All her life, security had been a fortress she built alone, brick by brick, number by number, dollar by dollar. She had relied on the tower, on Bitcoin, on her own contrarian logic. But now she rested on something simpler: trust. Not just trust in her marriage or her child or her financial stability, but trust in life itself. She kissed her son's forehead, feeling more secure than she ever had. Then her phone buzzed. It was a message from her old university roommate, of all people. "You were right about Bitcoin. Wish I'd listened. How much did you end up making?" Brittany smiled, the cool, sharp smile of the girl she once was. She typed back, "Enough, but that's not the surprising part."